Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Josh and this is your stimulus check update for the second stimulus package for Thursday, July 16th. I hope everyone is having a great week so far. In this video, I'll be discussing both the first and second stimulus checks, including what Nancy Pelosi has to say about the House taking their summer recess coming up on August 3rd. I'll also be going over the stimulus timeline, the rise in virus cases, and then I'll be wrapping up this video by answering some of the comments and questions that I received in my previous video. But first, if you wouldn't mind real quickly liking this video, giving me a big thumbs up. It really just helps with the YouTube algorithm in terms of pushing this video out to other viewers like you, and hopefully helping other people like you as well. Okay, so with virus cases on the rise throughout the US, particularly in southern states such as Florida, Arizona, Texas, and even California, we're left to wonder if we may be looking at another nationwide shutdown again. We're already seeing California shut down as Governor Newsom has shut down practically every business. How much further will this go? Other state governors like Ron DeSantis of Florida are also facing national pressure to begin shutting down their states again as well. Now, the cases in Florida have risen significantly within the last month. Back on June 8th, for example, there were only 966 new cases on that day. And days prior, there were around the same amount of cases. On June 12th, however, Florida saw a huge uptick in new cases to 15,300. Florida has also saw a record number of deaths of the virus on July 14th with 132. Days prior to that though, you really couldn't see that big of a difference in the death rate. One reason for that could possibly be is that the death rate usually lags the case rate, so it may take a couple of weeks for us to see an uptick in the amount of deaths. Another reason could possibly be that it's mostly younger people now getting the virus, and younger people have a better immune system for the most part, so they're better able to fight off the virus. Or another possibility is that doctors and nurses are now able to better handle the virus and treat the virus within their patients. Now, me personally, just my opinion, I believe the cases are rising in these warmer weather states just because in this warm weather, people are more likely to be indoors. Maybe they're dining in at restaurants, being inside at malls, or they're just hanging out with friends inside rather than being outdoors where all the heat and humidity is. Now, as you can also see with states like Colorado that also reopened early on, like the state of Georgia did, they're not seeing that uptick in cases. And since the weather is, sort of nice and not brutally hot like it is in Florida, people are outdoors more, which could possibly explain the lack of new cases, at least for now. You can also see that even with the spike in new cases in California, even with the spike in new cases, the amount of deaths really hasn't changed that much. This is the good news, at least, that death rates aren't just continuing to shoot up. If the cases and the amount of deaths do begin to shoot up and it becomes an issue statewide, do you believe that another nationwide shutdown is necessary? Or do you believe that we should just have a partial shutdown this time around? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Okay, moving right along to some first round stimulus check updates. If you're still waiting on your first stimulus check, you're definitely not alone. The IRS is going to be sending out more direct deposits on next Wednesday, July 22nd. So in the meantime, continue checking the payment portal and let me know in the comment section below if you're also receiving a payment date of July 22nd. And let me know in the comment section if you're still getting that error message of payment status not available. Now that just simply means the IRS has not scheduled a delivery date yet for you. So it doesn't mean you're ineligible. Just hang in there. I know it's frustrating, but you will eventually receive a payment date. Also, if you would like to call the IRS about your first stimulus check, you can always reach out to them. Just know there is going to be a longer hold time and you may not find out much more information than what you can already find through the payment portal. The number you can call them at would be 1-800-919-9835. And again, there is going to be a longer hold time, so I would recommend to call them early on in the morning. Also, just another reminder, if you are an expat living abroad outside the United States, the IRS did mention that you should be receiving your direct deposit no later than July 24th. That's if you do have a US-based bank account, and for whatever reason, they're unable to directly deposit these stimulus payments into non-US based bank accounts. Don't ask me why, because Social Security can, but for some reason the IRS is unable to directly deposit these stimulus payments into non-US based bank accounts. So unfortunately, they're going to have to be mailing your check instead, but they're going to be mailing these checks no later than July 24th. So I hope it doesn't take much longer than a month for you to receive these stimulus payments in the mail. And finally, if you still haven't received your first stimulus check and you're beginning to freak out and wonder if you're even eligible or if you're even going to receive it, Believe me, you definitely will, as long as you're eligible, as long as you're not being claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax return, and as long as you don't have something like past due child support that could potentially offset your stimulus payment. You definitely will receive your payment. So in the meantime, just hang in there, continue checking the payment portal, and you will eventually receive a payment date. Okay, so the Senate will be returning to Washington on next Monday in just 4 days, and that's where they'll begin writing and negotiating the next stimulus package. From there, you would like to see them pass it early on, as the House will be going on their own summer recess on August 3rd, and their last day of voting will be on July 31st. Now, when House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was asked if she was willing to delay or even scrap the House summer recess entirely in order to negotiate the next stimulus package, Pelosi said they absolutely would. And this is obviously very good news, as it gives the Senate and the House more time to negotiate on the next stimulus package. Pelosi said, quote, "The timetable is the timetable of the American people needing their unemployment insurance, their direct payments, their assistance for rent and mortgage forbearance." Pelosi and the House passed the HEROES Act back in May, which would have included additional aid, including another round of stimulus payments of $1,200 to Americans, including those dependents over the age of 17 who were left out in the first round, like college students and adults claimed by their children on their tax returns. However, the Senator Republicans called the HEROES Act a Democratic wish list, since it included other things such as immigration, mail-in voting, and even releasing federal prisoners from jail. And for that, or other reasons, the Senate called this bill to be dead on arrival. The HEROES Act had a $3 trillion price tag. And from what we know so far, the Senate wants to reduce spending, so with that said, we can probably expect the stimulus package written in the Senate to be anywhere between $1 to $2 trillion. We already know that Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell wants to focus on kids, jobs, and healthcare in the next stimulus package, and he also wants to include some type of liability protection as well. In fact, McConnell is so big on liability protection that he says that no bill will pass the Senate and go on to the House without some type of liability protection in it. McConnell simply does not want business owners to be able to get sued by their employees or by their customers as long as they're acting in good faith. So with that said, again, I ask you guys, what do you think about this? Do you believe that employers and business owners should be able to be sued by their customers or employees if they end up contracting the virus and getting health issues from it, or even possibly dying? Or do you think that business owners should not be able to get sued as long as they're acting in good faith, testing their employees, and trying to do the best that they can to combat this virus? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Now, with so many differing views on the next stimulus package, some people are questioning whether we can even get this passed. Both Mitch McConnell in the Senate and Nancy Pelosi in the House seem to be unwilling to budge on any of their needs, so it's really hard to see how this will all unfold. The House Majority Democrats, for example, want to extend the $600 weekly federal unemployment boost for another 6 months. And then on the other hand, the Senate Majority Republicans feel that $600 on a weekly basis could potentially provide a disincentive to work, being that 2/3 of people receiving that $600 weekly boost are actually earning more on unemployment than they were at their prior jobs, and 20% of the people receiving that $600 federal unemployment boost are earning more than double than they were at their prior jobs. So you can kind of see their point there. So more than likely, we're going to end up having that reduced potentially to around $400 on a weekly basis rather than $600. Now I ask you guys, what do you think about that? Do you believe that it should be extended for another 6 months at the full $600 just because of this pandemic? Or do you feel that this should be reduced to maybe $300 to $400 on a weekly basis? And in addition to unemployment reform, I also expect that they will have talks about some type of bonus for essential workers. As far as stimulus checks go, I would say that for the most part, they are pretty bipartisan. The only difference at the moment is that it's pretty clear that the House wants another round of $1,200 stimulus payments to all Americans, and they also want to include those dependents over the age of 17 who were left out in the CARES Act. And on the other hand, for the most part, we're seeing some mixed messages from the Senate Majority Republicans. Some of them are coming out and calling for reduced spending in the next stimulus package, which may mean that the stimulus payments may be less than $1,200, and it may be targeted to lower income brackets and people without jobs. But then, of course, there are other Republicans like President Donald Trump who are calling for more spending, and he wants stimulus checks to be more than $1,200, so it's really hard to say for sure. In the end though, I do believe they're just going to end up hammering out another deal similar to the CARES Act, where stimulus checks will be for $1,200, and it's hard to say whether or not dependents would be eligible for the next stimulus payment. My guess is probably not, if it is going to be the same thing as in the CARES Act, but we'll just have to wait and see. And also, with the Senate going on their next recess on August 10th, you'd have to hope that if they do not get a stimulus package passed on to the House by then, that they will delay or even cut their recess for that as well. Now, I have yet another question for you guys. If you were to personally place an income cap on the next stimulus checks, or if you were to earn more than that certain income, you wouldn't be eligible, what would you place that income cap at? Let me know what you think the income cap should be for the next stimulus payments. Okay, so at this point, I'm just gonna go ahead and answer some of the comments and questions that I received in my previous video. And if you have any other comments or questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I do try to respond to as many comments and questions as I possibly can, but those comments and questions that I'm not able to get to, I do try to respond to some of the more popular ones in the next video in video form. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the first comment of today's video. That comes from Jose. Jose says, "Hey Josh, my name is Jose. I started receiving SSDI in December of 2019, and I have not yet received my first stimulus check. What should I do?" All right, thank you so much for that question, Jose. So since you started receiving your Social Security benefits before this year in 2020, then no action is required on your part to receive your first stimulus payment. In the meantime, you just have to continue waiting. You can continue checking the payment portal, and you should eventually receive a payment date. Now, if you didn't start receiving your benefits until this year of 2020, and for anyone who didn't start receiving their benefits until 2020 this year, then you would be required to go to the non-filers tool and fill that out in order to receive your stimulus payment. But in your case, since you started receiving your benefits before 2020, then no action is required on your part. All right, so the next question today comes from Leland. Leland says, "Hello, my name is Leland Brown. I got my first stimulus in my bank account in Wells Fargo Bank. I was wondering if I'm going to get my second stimulus in my bank account." All right, thank you so much for that question, Leland. And yes, you should be receiving your next stimulus payment in your bank account as well. There were some rumors that the government was going to be issuing out some prepaid debit cards, and they would be loading the funds onto the debit cards. But at this point, it should be much quicker for them just to be sending out more direct deposits. And they already have all of our information on file, so it pretty much should just be like a click of a button, and they should be able to just fire out all these direct deposits, and they should go out much quicker than what they did in the first round. All right, so on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. If you did enjoy the content in this video and you'd like to see more videos like it, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. It is completely free to do so, and it's a great support to me. Also, if you would like to receive one free stock valued all the way up to $500 from Robinhood, please feel free to claim that free stock by clicking the link in the description below. Also, even if you don't want to continue investing afterwards, you can always sell that stock and then transfer that cash over to your bank account. So I do hope that helps you guys. And until next time, I'll see you guys, and I hope you have a great day today.